of Beast and Beauty by Stacey Jay. Preface. In the beginning was the darkness, and in the darkness was a girl, and in the girl was a secret. The secret was as old as the cracked cobblestone streets of Yuan, as peculiar as the roses that bloom eternally within the doomed city's walls, as poisonous as forgotten history and the stories told in its place. By the time the girl was born, the secret was all but lost. The stories had become scripture, and only the very brave, or very mad, dared to doubt them. The girl was raised on the stories and never questioned their truth, until the day her mother took her walking beyond the city walls. In the wilds outside, a voice as fathomless as the ocean spoke to her of a time before the doomed cities, before wholes became halves and bargains were made in blood. It told of a terrible choice and even more terrible consequences. It begged her to listen, to live. In the early days, I was one, the voice whispered. I was the world, and this world was me, and the dance was seamless and sweet. Then the ships came from far away world. They came, belching smoke and fire, stinking of space and beings living and breathing, loving and hating, hoping and despairing in close quarters for too many centuries. I watched the humans spill from their chips, blinking in my sun, marveling at my moons, weeping as they set foot on land for the first time, and I was curious. I teased my magic between their spindle fingers into their seashell ears, around their pulsing heads of their babes, finding them as delightful as my native creatures, but soft and unprepared for life in our world. Knowing they would die without my help, I began to touch them, to transform them. It was what I had done since the beginning, when I was only the land and the sea and longing for something more to keep me company. But the humans were afraid of my touch, of the magic that caused their smooth flesh to scale and their bodies to bunch with unfamiliar muscle. They cursed me, they praised me, they retreated into their great domes they had built and hid themselves away, locking those already touched by my magic outside their gates and calling them monstrous. They made promises and offerings and dangerous bargains, pulling at me until I was no longer one, but two, the pure heart and the dark heart, something both more and much, much less. The dark heart, my shadow self, soon developed an equally dark hunger. It told the smoothskins in the doomed cities of its longing, promising them safety and abundance in exchange for blood and pain, for the voluntary laying down of life, the ultimate act of devotion. It gave them magic words to speak and took their rulers as offerings, and in each city, in the places where the sacrificial blood was spilled, enchanted roses grew, a symbol of the covenant between the smoothskins and their new god. Decades passed, and the dark heart fed and grew powerful, stealing vitality from the planet, determined that none but its chosen few should thrive. And so the smoothskins in cities learned to bleed, and the monstrous outside learned to hate, and I faded away, stretched thinner with every passing year until only a few precious heard my voice. Finally, I realized I had to reach out to the smoothskins in a new way before it was too late. Using my power of transformation upon myself for the first time, I took the form of a monstrous woman with long black hair and white robes, a body to give to the smoothskins one last chance to show compassion. I went from city to city, introducing myself as an enchantress, a priestess of the planet. I begged to be allowed inside. I begged the smoothskins to abandon their dark worship and accept the gifts of their new world. I begged them to make me whole, to restore the innocence I'd lost when they had begun to call me God and Devil. But the gates of the doomed cities remained shut. The Smoothskins had no concern for the rest of the world, so long as their own desires were met. They spit harsh words through the cracks in their walls, they shot weapons through the slots in their gates. Arrows pierced my chest, and new blood spilled onto the ground. I stumbled into the wilds, seeking shelter, but in the camps of the Monstrous I found no aid. Sensing I was not truly one of their own, they bared their teeth, called me witch, and turned me away. My new body was dying, and my hopes for peace shattered. I gathered the last of my magic and sent a curse sweeping across the world. I cursed the eyes of the Monstrous to run dry, never to know the release of tears, but I cursed the Smoothskins even more terribly. From that day forward, a precious few of their babes would be born kissed by monstrous traits they despised. The rest would be born with missing pieces, trapped in bodies as twisted and wrong as the dark heart they worshipped. The dark heart managed to spare a few of the city dwellers, those from families who had spilled blood for their god. But my curse still had its way with the rest. The rest of the Smoothskins became more monstrous than the creatures they feared, and no amount of blood spilled in their royal gardens could make them whole again. There is only one way to undo the curse, if even one Smoothskin and one Monstrous can learn to love the other more than anything else, more than safety, prejudice, more than privilege or revenge, even more than their own selves, then the curse that division has brought upon our world will be broken, and the planet will be made whole. For a time, I had hope that my last act of cruelty would sway the humans in a way my pleas for mercy had not. But as time passed, hundreds and hundreds of years slipping away as I tossed on the wind, a ghost haunting lands where I used to live and breathe, I saw I had accomplished nothing. The world outside the domes continued to die. The land and the centuries upon it cried out for aid, but I could only watch as the elders suffered and the young ones starved. I had nothing left to give. I had lost everything but my voice. And what good is a voice when so few will listen? Will you listen, child? The pure heart of the planet has asked the girl. Will you do what others would not? There is proof of the story I tell. I can show you where to look. I can help you find the truth. The truth has been hidden away, the voice told the princess, but she couldn't find it. But she could find it if she was brave. The girl wasn't brave. Her 5th birthday was still 3 months away. She wasn't a hero with a sword. She wasn't even allowed a knife to cut her food, for fear she would sever a finger. But still, the voice haunted her dreams. It cried out for justice, but the girl learned to cry louder, to stand on her tower balcony and howl, terrifying the common people living in the center of the city. She screamed and fought the servants who were sent to care for her. She clawed at her father's face and bared her teeth in rage at him. She wept and ripped her dolls to pieces, heads and arms and legs pulled asunder, every dress torn in two, every tiny crown bent and broken. But she never spoke of the secret. She never admitted, even to herself, why she was so angry and sad and afraid. Months passed. Eventually, the pure heart spoke to her no longer. The girl's misery and rage slipped away, and the secret sank like a stone, deep, deep, deep inside her, until the truth was as forgotten as hope and beauty and all other things given to the darkness.